at the table with Fire Guy Ryan.
Greetings.
We don't read enough comic books with the community.
Wow, harsh.
It is harsh, but we talk about a lot of things. But you know what? We read comics all the time, and we want the community to do it with us. Read more comics, and I have the best way you can do it, because not everyone knows how to get into titles and how to even order comic books. It's kind of a little bit of a task to get your ongoing comics, isn't it?
It's daunting.
How do people typically do it?
Used to be you had to get at least one catalog, if not several, for different publishers, and go through each one and highlight or circle or write down whichever ones you want every single month. Give that list to your local comic shop, and then they will order those comics for you in a pull list and set them aside. That's
right. So you need a LCS. You have to have a local comic shop around, and you have to go through a lot of different things. Well, every month we're going to be putting together this video going over some highlights of this month's previews guide. Some of the stuff that we're most excited about, some stuff that we're adding to our pull list that we think you should know about, with the hopes that it helps you at your local comic shop to put your orders in. But if you don't have an LCS, you actually can join ours. Now, not my shop. This isn't my comic shop. It's not yours. But we do share the same LCS, don't we?
We do. It is run by Russ Bright, one of the co-hosts on this channel.
That's right. Russ, the comic sensei. You know him from the top 10 trending list. He owns MillGeekComics, 8 years strong. Ooh. And he has the PullBox system for his members.
I've been using it for a while now. It's been, I want to say, almost a year that we've been doing that. You pick everything you want on the website versus through the catalogs, and it is much easier. You have much tighter control over every little thing that you want, which is nice for a collector.
Yeah, never miss out on a variant, never miss out on any ongoing titles. You have to order comics in advance. They come out, months later after you order them. So this is how you can do it. And I want to chat about some exciting stuff that's happening because the August preview is out and you only got a couple weeks to add to your order. I'm going to put MillGeekComics Patreon link in the description. I encourage everybody, as would Russ, to hit your LCS first. Right. Support your local comic shop. But if you are not one of the few members that have the benefit of living next to a comic shop where you can go and frequent and be part of this community, well, Russ could be yours. By joining his Patreon, you get a shelf at his shop and you'll never miss comics again. And he ships your stuff in a box. So that's always good too.
And you get access to this online system that we are about to walk through with you, so you can kind of order your things digitally and get like we're talking about, get your comic list under control.
Get your list under control, and let's chat about the thing that I'm most excited about in the August preview, the thing that I added to my pull list. We got to chat about Walking Dead #1 coming out again. What's going on, Ryan?
I'm not excited. I did not add this to my pull list. I'll be upfront with that one.
Be real with the comic fam. This is on mine.
This is our personal pull list right now. This is what's coming out in October.
That's right.
Walking Dead #1 is being re-released in color this time with some goodies in the back. Some director commentary, kind of like Robert Kirkman bonus feature type stuff in the back pages.
Read it again. It's time to revisit the historical independent series that took the entertainment world by storm 17 years ago. Can you believe it's been 17 years since Walking Dead debuted in comics?
I cannot.
And can you believe that they're going to debut it again for probably the next 17 years, taking every individual issue, adding some commentary from the creator, and coloring every page. It's going to be like rereading it for the first time. And I love me some Walking Dead.
That I can't believe.
All right, Ryan. All right, you're not excited about Walking Dead. I want to know Ryan's pick for ongoing series.
It feels like a cop-out because honestly, this is my favorite book that Marvel is putting out.
You bring it up nearly every time I see you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it feels like a cop-out for this section because this could go any month because, in my opinion, this book is just that good. Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky.
All right, we have Daredevil issue number.
It's issue 23 of this run. So they're not even that far along, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, but it's so good.
This was nominated for multiple Eisners, dude. Letterer, cover artist, even writer.
For good reason.
Ryan, spit some specifics.
Specifics, you say? Well, we talked about how we're going to start doing more content soon, and I feel like I want to save Daredevil for something you and I read and discuss at some point. I want to keep that option on the table because I'm really in love with this book. Like, I can't describe. It's like, did you watch the TV show on Netflix?
Absolutely.
It's like that.
Ooh.
Like, I can't really describe it better than that. It feels like a continuation of the TV show Daredevil, like dripped in darkness and just like moodiness, but It's so good. It's a story about Daredevil, but it's also telling a kind of run-along story at the same time. It's showing Kingpin. And you're getting a lot of stuff about like his mental state of mind being the mayor of New York, and he's kind of starting to like lose it a little bit. It feels like. So there's two plot lines kind of running side by side that are they're getting me. I'm on board. I'm all over it. Daredevil. A lot of people are too, but I really love it.
Ooh, why don't we chat about some variant picks of the month? You know, I love me some variants, but this month, the legend Alex Ross pulled out all the stops, and he's releasing what is called timeless variants, and you're going to see a handful of them available for pre-order this month because there's multiple titles getting a classic Alex Ross portrait shot. And my favorite, you know, it's got to be Colossus.
Yeah, we talked about Alex Ross a while ago, and I'm a big fan of the way he draws reflections. That Silver Surfer one really spoke to me too, but like I had to make the choice not to get any of these because for me, I none or all. Like I would have to get this whole set, you know, and get them all side by side and looking real good, like all the portraits.
That Daredevil cover that you were just talking about got a timeless variant as well. This particular book that I added to my pull list, because I couldn't say no to Colossus, was New Mutants issue number 13. But heck, he did a Spider-Man variant. He did a Spider-Woman variant. The Thor variant is so classy.
I think there's one for each of the Fantastic Four. You know, pretty much every main Marvel character. There's a lot of these. So, like, that was the main reason I couldn't get any of them because I can't get all of them. That's too much. I want them, but I can't do it. I can't justify that. Life.
Oh, boo-hoo. Ryan's a reader, which is why I'm enjoying him being here for this like comic analysis stuff. But you know what? The collector side of me, I'm hoping it pours over to you, and pretty soon you're just going to start adding variants that you don't even want.
I know. Like I can't justify buying a comic I'm not going to read just because the cover looks cool.
We'll get you there, man. Comic Fam, hit the like. We'll get Ryan there.
Sure. I'll be a collector instead of just a reader one day.
All right. Well, you know what? Since you are such a reader, I want to hear what your indie pick of the month is.
This actually kind of ties in to another.
Is this going to be just a constant plug video like for you? We're going to talk about it later.
Yes. That's kind of another footnote you could say to a lot of these. Like we're talking about a lot of this other stuff in depth in various other places, but we are doing a feature on Scout Comics.
That's right. We're going to be doing a whole video about the Scout Comics box here in actually just a second, so stay tuned. And since that's going to be a whole separate deal because there's so many dope comics to get into, we won't be covering as many Scout books in this preview section, but this book was actually on your previews poll before we even got this box.
Correct. Before we started doing this box, I think it was before I even found out that it was going to be one of our variants in the Mystery Mail Call recently.
That's right. And if you comment down below, it'll enter you to win this virgin variant of Ben Templesmith's rendition of It Eats What Feeds It, issue number 1. And it's also Ryan's indie pick of the week.
Spoiler alert. Yes, it is. The third issue is solicited in this month's catalog. So issue 3 should be out in October. The first one, which I honestly didn't read when we had it for our mail call, but I read it for prepping this Scout video that we're doing. It blew me away. Like I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. You know, you're taking a risk on a lot of these smaller independent books that, you know, you're not necessarily, you get a Spider-Man book, you kind of know what you're getting into. It Eats What Feeds It. That was all I knew. Like I knew it was kind of scary. Other than that, let's just see what happens.
We'll get into it.
Surprise. Yeah, we're going to get into it more in the Scout video that we're doing.
Like really soon, like after this video. So.
Right. We're about to start recording it. However, the third issue, I love the first one that much that I could safely put the third issue down in this whole catalog as like the thing I want to read the most. Like I really want to see what happens. The first issue has such a good cliffhanger at the end.
New number 1s. Oh my gosh. All right. August. I mean, this is something I do every previews is there's going to be new titles, new stuff being introduced to the community. And this month, boom, they had this idea. And the fact that they nailed this deal down is monumental. I don't know how they did it. Shout out Arun over there at Boom Studios. But we have Keanu Reeves with a pen in his hand. He is writing a comic book about himself. Yeah.
Should be interesting.
It's called Berserker. It's a character that's modeled after Keanu Reeves in a world where it's hyper violent and he's just going on a killing spree. I haven't read this. I'm staying away from some of the synopsis because all I needed to know is that we have Neo, who's in the comic game now, and we're about to get more celebrities writing comics, just getting a ton of people into this awesome community.
I noticed Keanu Reeves was he's playing a character in the upcoming video game Cyberpunk 2077 made by the Witcher people, and now he's writing a comic book.
I'm all in, dude.
You know, Keanu's stepping out of his little comfort zone here a little bit.
I feel like there was a little bit of a Keanu lull for like a decade.
Is there going to be like a hip hop album dropping soon?
Oh my gosh, I can only hope. I mean, heck, Jeremy Renner, he went on and started doing
Shut up. Did he really?
He didn't do a hip hop one, but he's like a rock star now.
I didn't know that.
It's pretty cringeworthy too.
Oh, no,
let's play that intro for a second.
Just like the religious feeling almost.
It's like Creed.
It's very Creed feeling.
You know, it's terrible, man.
Oh
but you know what? He did it, and he's Hawkeye. But you know what? That's not all. Ryan, we have to tell the community about the extra stuff. Because you don't just get comics, you don't just get lost in the titles like IDW and Marvel. There's something at the very bottom of this previews that has nothing to do with actual physical comics.
Right, they group everything by categories. And I was saying earlier, you can go by publisher. The first categories are, there's Image, there's IDW, Marvel, Boom, Dark Horse. Once you get further down to the bottom, you kind of have a generic comics section, which is where a lot of the really, really indie stuff goes. I think that's where most of the Scout books and like the Zenoscope stuff gets in there. So you might want to like dig into those. But beyond that, you get down into like books, graphic novels, statues. There's
shirts, dude.
Shirts, hats, cards.
You see people posting stuff on Instagram, getting that latest statue.
Mm-hmm. I've got the Silver Surfer with Thanos on the cover, like a comic book t-shirt. And I got, not this one, but I ordered that shirt on there.
So I typically treat myself Tom Haverford style, and I go through and, find something pretty fun. And what's interesting is that this month, both of us picked the same thing.
Yeah. Like immediately. It was also the first thing on the list, so like that might have had something to do with it. But
it didn't. Is this?
I would have picked this.
What did we do?
Animorphs.
Animorphs in a hard cover. What's going on?
I feel like I talk about Animorphs way more on this channel.
Comic fam, any of you guys like Scholastic, isn't it?
Scholastic.
Any of you Scholastic readers or collectors? I've been thinking about collecting some Scholastic stuff.
Like the book fair at elementary school. You remember that? They used to come around and like the library and set up and.
That's right. You get the Animorphs books and you just do the corner where the pictures change over and over again. You were the guy who read it. I was the guy who was just like, oh, I got a little bit of like a television here. But what are they doing, Ryan?
Learning so much stuff.
Tell me about Animorphs.
Animorphs is being adapted into graphic novel format.
Yes, it is.
I'm pretty sure this is the first time this has happened.
I can't think of any other time it's ever done.
I can't either.
And there's a trade and there's a hardcover version.
Right.
Real quick, on the count of three, what'd you get?
Hardcover.
1, 2, hardcover.
I can't count to 3 apparently, but I can say the word hardcover.
It's okay.
I'm excited. Like it's a comic book version of Animorphs. It
There
looks
you
like they're doing one comic book for each one of the one books that was in the series. So we might be looking at like 50 of these suckers. I don't know what they're doing. I'm just getting the first one for now. That's all they've solicited in this catalog. So we'll see what goes from there. But Animorphs.
What did you add to your pull list for August? I want to give everybody a little tip. If you're looking for variants, I mentioned Walking Dead issue #1 as being something I'm really excited about. Well, if you are interested to see if there's a variant of any of the comics that you pull, well, if you click on the book on the pull list website, it's going to open up the screen that will tell you about the synopsis. But there's a very important button that's on there that's typically pre-selected to not show you variants.
Yeah, it's weird. You gotta, so it pulls up that little screen where it gives you the synopsis, and then down below that, it'll give you the option to just order this one issue or subscribe to the series. So every month it will just be there. You don't have to click it every month.
It'll auto order your cover A's.
Correct. Or there's a little button at the top, like Tom was saying. You have to go in there and hit the button that says show all items.
That's right. And if you hit all items, you're going to see variants. And for this very issue, you actually have an variant that you can get of Walking Dead #1 that's an homage to the classic issue Walking Dead #1 that came out in early 2000s.
They should have an option there too where you can subscribe to the variant of a series. So if you want to be like me and you want just the B covers for certain series, you can do that too.
That's right. This is how you can keep up with all the comics and you don't miss out on anything. You can get it for the cheapest price you can get it. And last but not least, we did tease it, DC Comics. Wow, is it a little bit of a cluster to get your DC Comics now?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the weird side effects, casualties of this COVID universe we're living in now. I wouldn't have expected DC Comics to break away and for that to be the new world we're living in, but here we are.
Well, if you want to get DC Comics, you have to have an LCS now. You have to actually have not just an LCS, but a comic shop owner who's going to facilitate the orders of these comics. It's kind of the old school way. So you can't conveniently order your DC titles off a pull list anymore. It's a bummer. I'll be real. It's a bummer. But fortunately, Russ the Comic Sensei is there for the community to facilitate that once you join his Patreon. So how do you order DC Comics? You got to have an LCS and you got to have a comic guy.
Russ makes it super easy. He's been sending out the last few months an email to everybody at his shop who has a pull list there. And he says, hey, here's the catalog for DC specifically. Email us back at this address with everything that you want. And there you go. We'll put it in your box when the orders come in.